In the city with you, man. I got my boy Ash Cash in the building. Ash, what up, bro?
Yes, sir. We trying to get them ends. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4.
Man, come on, man. Listen, it's Money Monday. A lot of people are off because of the holiday. The money doesn't sleep, though, so we got to bring it to y'all live. What up? We live on Facebook, too, at facebook.com/hot1079ATL and at Ash Cash's Facebook or Instagram. One of them things.
IG.
IG. I am Ash Cash on IG. The question of the day, because we had a really great response. A lot of calls last week. We talked about credit.
Yes.
So the question of the day is some people asking, how do I get things off my credit?
So here's the thing, right? People don't even realize that the credit laws are in their favor. And so the onus, meaning the burden of proof is not on you. The onus is on the creditors, meaning that if something is on your credit report, the person who put it on your credit report has to prove that it's yours. Macy's was my first credit card bill. I had a Macy's bill. I didn't know at the time I was 18. I didn't know I had to pay it back. 18 months later, Macy's writes it off. Macy's sells it to a collection agency.
Right.
I keep not paying it. Years later, it drops off my credit report, but I don't know no better. Another collection agency calls me and tells me I owe this money, and so now I wind up paying it.
Right.
Not realizing that there's something called debt scavengers.
Yes.
People who look for debt and will put it on your credit report just to see if you're going to pay it.
Buy this debt for the cheap.
For the cheap.
So let's say you owe $3,000-$4,000. They probably bought it for $50.
Right.
And they try to get you to settle and say, hey, you could just pay me $1,000 right now.
Exactly. Pay $1,000 right now,
Right.
and then we'll put it as it's paid in full. You didn't even owe them that money,
But
though.
it was already off your
It was
credit.
already off your credit. Legally, it's not even supposed to be there.
No, because you never did business with that company.
Exactly.
All right, so listen, if you got things on your credit that you want disputed, hit us up right now.
Yes.
And he's going to tell you how to dispute it or put you in the right direction. This is Ash Cash Exantis right here. He's a financial guru. He is my homie, and he's been like really, really helping people out with this financial advice every Monday, man. So I need y'all to hit me up right now. 404-741-1079 if you have credit questions. If you can't get to a phone, we live at facebook.com/hot1079ATL. Ash, you good, bro?
Let's do it. Yes, sir.
Hi, it's Candace from Atlanta.
Candace, you got a question for Ash?
I do, because I had an account, a credit card account with Wells Fargo. The account is fairly old. It never was paid off, but it's saying a charge off.
If it says charge off, send a letter, send it to the credit agencies. So Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, asking them to validate that debt. What that means is you want them to tell you and prove to you that it is your debt. And what's going to happen is that the credit agencies are now going to reach out to Wells Fargo and say, hey, is this person's debt? And tell me how it is that person's debt. If Wells Fargo does not get back to them in a certain amount of time, then they have to remove it. And that's how a lot of times things are getting removed, because if you challenge it, not with the actual creditor, because if you go to the creditor, they're gonna say, of course it's yours, and they're gonna keep it on there. But if you go to the actual or the credit agencies, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, whatever agencies is being reported on, and tell them that, hey, I want you to validate this debt for me. If the creditor doesn't validate it in 30 to 45 days, and they have to remove it. I would start there, then figure out who is the collection agency, and then ask the collection agency, since it's validated and you know it's yours, it's gonna stay there for another 4 years. Ask them if you pay a certain amount, would they remove it? If they don't agree to remove it, then don't pay anything. Just ride it out and let it fall off at the end of 6 to 7 years.
Okay, great. Thank you. This is very knowledgeable.
Appreciate you listening, Mama. Who's this?
Hi, this is Lakeisha.
Not from Powell.
Rest in peace, Lakeisha. No.
Spoiler alert. My bad,
spoiler
y'all.
alert, my fault.
All right, listen, we got Ash Cash right here. Lakeisha, what's your credit question?
I had gave the apartment complex like a 30-day notice, and they saying that I had to give them a 60-day notice that I had to pay my rent. My lease was up, so I moved out the apartment complex. Am I responsible for that?
You have to look at the lease, right? So if you're breaking the lease, then technically you are responsible for it. The good news is that most landlords don't really understand credit laws. So even if they say that you're responsible for it, it might not necessarily mess up your credit. If they're like a stickler and they really want to stick it to you, they probably take you to court before you'll see it on your credit report. If they take you to court and the court says that you're responsible for it, then you have to pay it, because that's going to show up on your credit report. So I would say don't worry about it unless you get sort of something that says we're going to take you to court. But as far as your credit goes, the odds of them them being able to know how to report it to your credit is really slim.
Okay, but I haven't received anything from court.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so you should be good. You should be good.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure, Lakeisha.
Next time we buying a house, no more renting.
Right.
Good stuff. Your boy Reece right here on the Money Monday. Got my homie Ash Cash answering your credit questions. Who is this?
Hey, this is Nisha. I had a quick question about credit. As far as disputing things off your credit, how do you know what to dispute and how do you go about disputing things?
Dispute all of them. It's nothing illegal to say, if this money is owed, prove it that I owe it. And so I would dispute everything. That, I would say it's called a validation letter. You could you could Google it, or if you email me, info@mindrightmoney.com, I can send it to you. It's called a validation letter. Whatever's on your credit report, send that to the credit agencies. Ask them, send them the validation letter. Say, these things are on my credit report. I want to validate that they're really mine. Make sure that it's done with a post office so you can know.
Send it with the tracking number.
With
A certified letter so you can have proof that you sent it.
Exactly. And then once they get it, all you do is validate and wait. Once it comes back, and if it comes back and they most of the times they're going to say we couldn't validate it, so we're going to take it off. But if they did validate it, then you send a second letter saying, how did you validate it? Then that's the cycle right there. But if you understand the steps and the processes, how to do it, then you could easily do it yourself. I wrote a book about it, What the FICO 12 Steps to Repairing Your Credit. Check it out.
I will. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right, Mama. Ash, tell them where to follow you out on Instagram because these phone lines still going. We ran out of time.
All right. Follow me. I am Ash Cash on all social media platforms, or check out my website, iamashcash.com.
And he has books about credit repair. Get it. And we got more tips for health and wealth coming up on Monday, each and every Monday, right here with your boy Reece, Money Monday Podcast.